Okay, that didn't go as planned. Okay, so we are doing this. So anyway, let's get right in and get to preview the last two races. And Phoenix wasn't that great. It was not a good race. Pretty boring, actually, in reality. It was pretty boring in reality. So that race is pretty boring. Now, the same can't be said about the last, 10, 15 laps. That definitely was very interesting. But other than that, the race was pretty boring. Now we get to Las Vegas. So, anyway, we had an excellent race in Las Vegas. Now, the one thing about the next gen car is it provides really good racing on the 1.3 mile tracks. And that race was incredible. Now we get to the elephant in the room. The penalties. By far, one of the worst penalties in NASCAR history was handed down to Hendrick Motorsports yesterday. Each crew chief was fined $100,000. Each crew chief was fined $100,000, suspended for 4 races, that being Blake Harris of Alex Bowman, Alan Gustafson of Josh Berry, because Chase Elliott is injured, the 24 Rudy Fugle of William Byron, and of course Cliff Daniels of Kyle Larson. Sorry. My mind. Also suspended the number 31 car, Justin Haley, and his crew chief, Trent Owens, fined $100,000 and suspended for the next 4 races. Now, Hendrick did say that they will appeal the penalty, but I highly doubt they'll win. We saw that last year with SHR. We saw it last year with the 6 of Brad Keselowski. They are usually pretty lenient that you cannot mess with the next gen car. They cleanly say that in the rule book. Now, as far as the, I'll pull up my page here to say exactly what was wrong with the parts. So basically, to put it in layman's terms, was it was the levers that relieve the pressure on the Okay, so it was confiscated from Hendrick Motorsports and Cullig Racing, the number 31, was the hood levers on the next gen cars, which basically is intended to decouple engine performance from the aero performance. This also, which is prevents the engine from overheating. Um, and then it also transfers air from the radiator, which can also lead to the engine overheating and blowing up. Now, there also is a penalty for Denny Hamlin. Now, if he probably would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for him admitting to it on his podcast that he intentionally wrecked Ross Chastain. Yes, he did wreck Ross Chastain on purpose, and he admitted to it. So basically, what that is a 25 driver point penalty, and he was fined $50,000 for his actions. And according to the NASCAR rulebook, it violates the driver's code of conduct, and this covers the area of manipulating a race by wrecking or spinning another driver, whether it is on or not removed from the track. So basically, I mean, honestly, I don't think he should have gotten penalized for that. He did do it on purpose, but anyway, I don't think the penalty should have been very harsh. He didn't wreck him under caution. They were basically just battling for position and got into each other. That's been a theme of NASCAR for the longest time. So anyway, there's that. Eric Almirola and two of his team members were suspended for 2 races for a loose wheel. That being Ryan Mulder, the front tire changer, and Sean Cotton, who is the jackman. Kaulig also did say that they will appeal the penalty. So William Byron won 2 in a row. Well, those don't count anymore. Anyway, those will not count towards William Byron in the championship. And so, doing some math here, Alex Bowman, who was the points leader, goes to 23rd in points. William Byron drops from 4th to 29th in points. Kyle Larson drops from 5th to 32nd. Chase Elliott, who was not affected by this because he didn't race in the race, goes from 29th to 26th in points. And then Justin Haley, who is now 34th in playoff points with negative 40 points, 49th in driver's points, and the 31 is dead last in owner's points in 53rd. The number 9 car drops from 19th to 52nd in owner's points. And Kevin Harvick right now is the current points leader with 3 points over Ross Chastain. So basically, yeah, he could have hurt Ross Chastain. But honestly, if I have to admit, Denny Hamlin's not one of my favorite drivers. I never liked him. He drives dirty. And then he has his alter egos, and yeah, I crashed him, and so what? I mean, it's just that's not how you treat a fellow competitor. Actually, the 9 dropping in Oler's points did have to do with the penalty. The 9 was suspended, or the 9 did get the penalty. But because Chase Elliott wasn't racing, he wasn't affected by it, which means they got the same penalty, but they didn't get the driver's points because Josh Berry is not eligible for cup points. So they got the exact same penalty as everybody else. So, yes, they did get penalized. And that's the main reason why the 9 is like way down in the owner's points because of the penalty. Plus some horrific runs by Josh Berry and Chase Elliott probably only racing 2 races into the season before he got injured. But anyway, yes, 9 did get suspended. And they dropped the hammer on every single team of Hendrick Motorsports. So now we get to the leany, juicy. Now we get to the leany, juicy. Okay, so we got. Okay, so anyway, this just came out a little while ago. Kevin Harvick will be driving the 29 car in the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro for one final time. It's kind of neat that the All-Star race, you can allow it. I know they allowed Kyle Busch to run the 75. They've allowed Jimmy Johnson to run the 5. I think they even allowed Mark Martin to drive the 25 car. So it's kind of neat that you can do that. And it's on a points paying race, so they don't care. So the interim crew chiefs for the suspended crew chiefs will be Kevin Mandarin, who I believe is the crew chief for, I think, Sam Mayer. So you have Sam Mayer, Josh Berry. Tom Gray will work with Josh Berry. And then Brian Campy will work with 24 William Byron. And Greg Ives will return to crew chief the 48. So that's the replacement crew chiefs. Also, they are hoping, Colleague is hoping that they can get Trent Owens' suspension done until after their appeal. Yes, Colleague is appealing their penalty. So, William Byron, can he do it? He's going for 3 in a row. He won here last year at Atlanta. Well, Atlanta's super speedway now. But the last driver to win 3 in a row was Kyle Larson. He was going for 4 in a row when his tire blew at Pocono. Guess who won it? Alex Bowman. What happens a year later? They take away the doubleheader. So, also, the Cup Series and the truck drivers will run a tire test at North Wilkesboro. So, rising country superstar Parker McCellum will headline the Ally 400 pre-race concert at Nashville Super Speedway. So, if you want to watch the action tonight or tomorrow, also some good news about the Nashville Fairgrounds. Um, the board, the Nashville Fair Board, according to NASCAR First Alert, has passed Bristol Motor Speedway's proposal to renovate and operate Nashville Fairgrounds by a 3-2 vote. Now, this is incredible because now we have a racetrack that will have some new life. Even happened with the Milwaukee Mile. It happened with North Wilkesboro. Um, so social media is becoming a big presence in saving these tracks. Now, with that being said, I am going to have a new podcast. It's not going to come out till like late 2024. But the podcast is basically going to be called If This Speedway Could Talk. I'm aware that Dale Jr. did something like this. But this podcast is basically going to go into their history, the origin of them, the money struggles, the change of ownerships that ultimately led to its demise. Also, is the track still standing? Was it demolished? Now, the first episode of this is going to be about Hales Corners, which was located in Hales Corners, Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, I believe. I believe Hales Corners is in Milwaukee County. But that track no longer exists. I think it's a Menards, actually. So a former Menards is sitting on a racetrack in Hales Corners, Wisconsin. Now, basically, the how this is gonna work is I'm gonna use Photoshop and Photoshop myself at the track. And then I'm also going to use, which is a chroma key, also known as a green screen, which basically will show up on the green screen that I'm at that particular track. And it's not just going to cover NASCAR. There's abandoned F1 tracks, there's abandoned IndyCar tracks, there's abandoned even late model tracks. I know there's a few in South Carolina. So there's a lot of abandoned racetracks around the United States that nobody even heard of. There's abandoned racetracks around the world that I'm sure none of you have ever heard of. So this is basically going to go into that depth, and it's going to be a worldwide thing. I think Twin Ring Motegi doesn't operate anymore. I think it's abandoned. I don't think they do any races anymore. I have to look that up. I'm not positive on that. Okay, it does still operate. But it has had difficulties since 2011. So the last one to race there in 2021 was a Super Formula. So it's not quite an abandoned racetrack. It was a super speedway. And then they also have a road course. So yeah, it is still operating. So that one is not abandoned. But I think there are some abandoned racetracks around the world that don't operate. Okay, so one other thing. People are saying, oh, Corey LaJoy is going to win. He's going to get, right now, he's in the playoffs. Because of all this chaos with the Hendrick cars and Cullig, and he's currently 3 points ahead of Michael McDowell for the 16th spot in the playoffs. So if the chase were to start today, Corey LaJoy would actually make the playoff on points. Yes, I did say that he would make a playoff on points. So anyway, we will. Also, one thing I am going to do, I'm not going to do it in a 3-hour stream because it would be incredibly boring. Is this. I bought this about 3-4 weeks ago. This is the NASCAR Lego set, which I think is going to be really cool to build. I loved Legos as a kid. Now, fun fact about me, I actually did want to be a race car driver. So, yes, I wanted to be a race car driver. And right now, you probably would have seen me race against Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, even Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott. I'd probably be a young driver. I'd be driving the 92 car right now for Richard Childress Racing. So, yeah. And after Harvick retires, I would announce my departure from them and drive the 4 car, which would be renamed to the 00, so I can rename and nickname myself Agent Zero, which honestly would be a really cool nickname for a driver. Okay, getting all the yuckiness. So we have the track record holder for Atlanta is Jeffrey Bodine at 197.478 miles per hour, which was set on November 15th, 1997. Now, last year, the race was rained out during the sprint. There was no qualifying. We did get qualifying during the fall race, which William Byron won the pole at 126 miles per hour. I think it's safe to say that we probably will not see track records broken ever again in NASCAR. A lot of those are here to stay. So, a total of 67 drivers have made their... Okay, yes. The original configuration, the last race, was in 1997. And then after that, they repaved it and reconfigured it, I think, to like a D-shaped oval or something like that. And then that started a wear and tear, and drivers loved it because it was bumpy, it was rough, but eventually, like every track, it met its demise. Then they reconfigured it again to a super speedway. So, yes, there have been 3 configurations of Atlanta Motor Speedway since its opening. It opened in 1960. Okay, so it did open in 1960, and there have been 3 different configurations of the track. Now, one fact about the Atlanta Motor Speedway, because I'm a weather nerd or whatever, in 2005, they were hit with a tornado, an F2 tornado from the remains of Hurricane Sydney, and that damaged some of the track. It damaged it pretty well. I think some of the. Also, it was Smokey and the Bandit 2 was filmed there. Scenes of Stroke Race. There was Days of Thunder was filmed there. So the okay, so lap records. The fastest lap in the NASCAR Xfinity Series was set by Jeremy Clements at 30.657 seconds. The NASCAR Truck Series, it was set by Derek Kraus at 30.097, and then 29.531 set by Martin Truex Jr. in the 2022 Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. Now, as far as okay, so it was a 1.5 mile oval until 1997. And then qualifying for that was Robbie Gordon, 186.50 miles per hour. And then the race, 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 3 seconds, set by Dale Earnhardt. And then in 1983, it was set by Casey Mears, or Rick Mears, sorry, 26.73 miles per hour, 204 miles per hour. And then he also set the race record at 0.509 miles per hour. So then it was a classic oval. Then it became a quad oval in 1997. And that was set, as I said previously, Jeff Bodine set the track record for that particular one. In the Busch Series, it's now the Xfinity Series, but it was a Busch Series at the time. Yeah, it goes to Greg Biffle, who set at 192 miles per hour. Then, of course, Rick the Pervert Crawford set it at 182.73 miles per hour. And then Billy Boat set it at 224 miles per hour. Now, that configuration stood until 2021, when it was reconfigured again into a mini super speedway, basically. So yeah, Thomas is right. There's been 3 different configurations of the track. So anyway, that's a brief history of Atlanta. It was actually kind of fun to look that up, so I think I'm going to keep doing that for every track. It was kind of a fun thing to do. Also, Dr. Pepper and 2311 Race and Speed Institute announce a third cycle of configuration. I'm actually going to, I'll be right back. I need to get something to drink, so um okay, so Atlanta. So Atlanta announces co-grand marshals defending champion of the University of Football team, Samuel Modern Jr., Mikel Williams, Kyrie Lannister. Why did I pronounce it like the Game of Thrones? Will be co-grand marshals alongside actor and writing producer Jesse McCaff. Will give the command to start engines. Also, Catherine Kirby will wave the green flag. National Anthem Center will be singer, songwriter, record producer Blanco Brown and will perform the Star Spangled Banner. He also will be part of the pre-race concert. With hits like Platinum Certified Just the Way and Follow Up Take My Name. And then VIP guests will include Richie Grant, Lonzo Carter, Timmy Horn, D'Angelo Malone from the Atlanta Falcons, NASCAR legends Richard Petty, Bill Elliott, and Jeff Gordon. And then NFL Hall of Famer Warwick Dunn. It'll feature 858 miles of racing. Also, for the first time since 1960, I think, there will not be a 500-mile race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This one is only going to be 400 miles. And then Raptor Cab Top 250, which will be the truck race. And then the FRA 208. Oh, wait. The 250 race, I believe, is the Xfinity race. The FRA 208, kind of a weird name for a race, will be the truck series. And then will be followed up by the Peach Pit Infield Party. Yes, it's kind of funny because I think Georgia is considered the Peach State, so that's kind of a neat name. Saturday night. Now, I do have to say, I haven't really been to a NASCAR race. I've never been to one at all, which is kind of odd considering I cover the sport. I'm hoping I can get to some races, though. And Atlanta is definitely on my bucket list. So Sunday, for all the young viewers and people who have kids, there's going to be carnival rides, live attractions, Parmley's pre-race concert, and then driver introductions. So now I want to get down to the nitty-gritty, the tropical depression entry list. Wait, I think the Hurricane Watch entry list. So we have 39 drivers for 38 spots on the actually 40 drivers for 39, I believe. I think that's what it is. So 2 cars will go home. Cesar Baccarella was previously in the 42, but has since withdrawn from the race. Mason Maggio in the 20. And Jack Wood, a new sponsor, is Logitech. And Wallace Allen, auto charge it. That's obvious. Anyway, let's get into some other stuff. Also, Jimmy Johnson will be running Coda in a couple weeks. And then he will also run the Coca-Cola 600. So I'll be one of 3 of his races he has planned. I don't know if he also plans on running the Chicago Street Course. So Kyle Larson and William Byron are the favorites to win in Atlanta. Okay, so Neville Extreme will sponsor Corey LaJoy in 3 races. And then Blue Green's Vacation to sponsor Corey LaJoy at Richmond. Kimi Räikkönen will return to the Project 91 car at Coda. And then Jordan Taylor will drive the 9 car at Coda for the injured Chase Elliott. Now, Chase Elliott was injured in a skiing accident a couple weeks ago. And last week, Josh Berry did pretty well in the car, finishing 10th. So he's been pretty solid in that 9 car. I think one of the coolest ally paint schemes that Bowman runs is the special best friends car that they run every year. Last year's was very weak. This year's is really cool. And the year before that was really cool. Last year's ally paint scheme was very bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Also, I don't know where these big hats are coming from, but I think it'd be kind of funny if they actually offered them as novelty items at the tracks. So anyway, there's that. Okay, his on J-Ski is just basically repeating itself. Good night. Also, something cool that that Advent Health is doing with Haley Deegan is promoting Women's History Month. So that's something kind of cool and nostalgic that they're doing. Also, IMSA has its own Hall of Fame now in Daytona Beach, Florida. So in its inaugural class, you have Peter Gray, Hurley Haywood, Al Holbolt, and Scott Pruitt. All were multiple-time IMSA champions and multi-winners of the most prestigious races. Joining the class of the Hall of Fame also are John and Peggy Bishop and Bill France Sr. In addition, there'll be 4 iconic cars: the Chevrolet Corvette C5R, the Ferrari 3333 SP, the Mazda RX-7 GTU, and a Porsche 962. So you have Scott Pruitt, who was a 9-time IMSA champion, and then Al Holbolt, who has the most IMSA wins with 49. Hurley Hayward, who has won 3 for 24 hours of Le Mans, and then 5 overall Rolex 24 victories. And then one of IMSA's first stars, which is Peter Gregg. This is a pretty solid, and it's kind of neat that now we're getting an IMSA Hall of Fame. The one that has not done it yet, I'm surprised they haven't done it with all their history, is IndyCar. Also a woman, um, who races in the Whale and Modified Tour since this is Women's History Month. Melissa Fifield. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. But, so she basically runs in the NASCAR Whale and Modified series. She hasn't really been on the level like Mike Tesfonic, Richie Evans, Jerry Cook, but she's been there. She's been solid. She is considered the Iron Lady of the Whale and Modified series. So, as we go on, this is one of the history things. Hard to believe it. NASCAR has been around for 75 years. It's really hard to believe that they've been around for that long. So yeah, anyway, we have that. Now we get into the nitty. Now, one driver I want to make a statement for running full time is Ryan Truex. I have no idea. He's been so good in a JGR Cup ride since he's been in there. So I have no clue why he doesn't have a full-time Cup ride or full-time Xfinity ride at least. Definitely JGR should sign. Now another driver that I want to make a statement for, and I'm hoping our motorsport sticks with them, is Kyle Weatherman. He takes the absolute best out of his equipment. He takes care of his race car. He doesn't wreck a lot. So he basically is phenomenal. He would do very good if he can just get a team behind him and develop. Sammy Smith got his first career win at Phoenix. So another cool thing, I don't know if many people know of Roblox, but they are going to have a gaming experience called NASCAR Speed Hub. You know, all players design cars, unlock virtual items, play mini games. Also, Austin Hill has 2 wins this season. He won at I think it was Daytona, and then he won at Las Vegas. So yeah, we oh, let's see your diecast back there. I do have a video of that on my YouTube channel, actually. So anyway, that will do it for tonight's episode of Lightning Bryson. We will see you again next week. Maybe even we'll do a live stream of me putting that particular Lego set together. This is Lightning Racing signing off. Good night.